Absolutely incredible book. I can't even pull. Let me know when we're live, please, Bob. Wow. Best chapter. We're on. Oh, hello, everyone. This is Bill Apter down here at Apter's Alley, and I was so caught up in this book. Welcome to the Apter Mag, one of the only magazine-style podcasts, video podcasts in the world. And the reason I say one of them is because a very nice fan tweeted me that he's got a video podcast as well, magazine style. So I'd love you to support him, but I don't have his information in front of me here. So as I mention every week, if you're writing to me in the chat box, I may not be able to answer any questions until later on because we do have a loaded schedule today, and I need to read more about Mr. Luthez. Domo arigato. All right. So once again, Bill Apter down here at Apter's Alley, the place where everything happens. You remember that I started my career in the days of the wrestling magazines. Yes. And I miss the days of the wrestling magazines. There are some companies that still have wrestling magazines out. Total Wrestling Magazine in England, Fighting Spirit Magazine in England, and of course, Pro Wrestling Illustrated is still out there. But I like to do this laid-back, casual magazine-style podcast for all of you that really enjoyed the magazine days. So we start off, of course, just like the cover, with this week's headlines. And the reason I don't have any headline music yet is because, as you know, we're live on YouTube, and I don't want to get terms of service. So I need some copyright-free music for each department. If you want to send me one to bapter@onewrestling.com, I would love to hear just something short for every segment. And Big Ray is here. Hey, Big Ray, great to see you. Okay, so again, we will make time later on. Let's go right now to the headlines for this week. William Regal, the general manager of NXT, has announced officially. He made one really great announcement and then one announcement some people are not too crazy about. He announced officially that this year's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic will kick off on NXT on March 7th. And you can find that, of course, on the WWE Network. Whoever wins that tag team tournament will go on to New Orleans, NOLA, WrestleMania weekend, and challenge the Undisputed Era, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, for the NXT Tag Team Championships, if they have it at that point. You never know; they could lose it on a spot show. Now, one announcement that he was not too popular making was that he had to have Johnny Gargano sign the termination notice today, that Gargano is terminated from NXT after losing a stipulation match to Andrade Cien Almas this past week on NXT. So Johnny Gargano has signed the paper that he's no longer in NXT. Where is he going to show up? As they say in pro wrestling, you never know till he gets there. Rumors going around. I'm not a rumor guy, definitely not a rumor guy, but as you know, that the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes have teamed up and they're putting on a show called All In, which will take place on September 1st. And they're looking for a huge venue, and they believe that they can fill it, and I do too. And one of those towns is indeed Chicago. And why do I say Chicago? because that is the hometown of CM Punk. So might it be that CM Punk is all in? He's kind of denied it from what I understand on Twitter, but we will keep an eye on that story and break it on One Wrestling Video or onewrestling.com. By the way, I also wanted to mention that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic had not taken place last year. In 2015 was the first year, and Finn Balor and Samoa Joe had won, and the Authors of Pain won in 2016. So I'm looking forward to the Dusty Rhodes Classic. Fans, well, wait a minute. I got something today that I want to show you. And this is news. This is news. This is a headline here. Look what came in the mail to me today. The Book of Booty. Shake it, love it, never be it, from WWE's The New Day. It's a press release that came with this, the Book of Booty. Before we read the press release, Big Ray, as I mentioned, I'm not looking at the chat box, but you caught me with CM Punk versus Kenny Omega. God, you talk about a dream match. Brandon Apter is on here, my son, and he will be preparing an Elimination Chamber preview for his After Hours podcast, recording it at 7:30, and you can catch it on another night. But this is the Book of Booty, and look at this. It's bootyful. Pictures, everything you wanted to know about the New Day. And according to the press release, fans will learn the feel-good story of 3 underestimated WWE superstars, the undisputed facts of their stratospheric title reign. There will be brain-busting trivia in here. Also, the power of zany outfits, beloved instruments, and the entire New Day world. And how to dance like Big E. I'm going to take lessons. Big E is cool. Find your spirit animal and bake with baked bootios and much more. So this has been released. Now the Book of Booty. So you can pick it up at your favorite bookstore. It's a WWE book in conjunction with St. Martin's Griffin Press. Okay, so fans absolutely went crazy over the long series of wrestling matches on Monday Night Raw. I did too. The Gauntlet match. It was incredible. And there was no in-ring talk for a long period of time. There were no pauses. There were really, really great competitive matches. And what I liked was that in the corner box, after someone lost a match, Renee Young was there with the microphone interviewing the loser of the match. And that was pretty cool. I think they handled it beautifully. So that ties in right now with going to the gorilla position. And Ryan Bowman is our genius from the gorilla position. He's our reporter from the gorilla position. And this week, he is starting off his pick for the wrestler of the week, his choice. So let's see, based upon the Gauntlet match, you probably know who it is, but let's see right now, and let's listen to Ryan Bowman from the gorilla position. Who is this week's wrestler of the week, Ryan Bowman?
Ryan Bowman from thegorillaposition.com, and here's the Apter Mag wrestler of the week. Okay. Our selection this time out was a fairly easy one. With his amazing hour-plus performance during Monday night's Gauntlet match, including clean victories over both John Cena and Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins takes this week's honor.
Well deserved.
The Shield member and Raw superstar has stated that he wants to recapture the top spot on WWE's signature program, and he certainly took a huge step in that direction with his performance, which garnered praise from not only fans and wrestling journalists, but also mainstream media outlets like CBS Sports and Forbes magazine. This week's Go Home show had a bit of a different format, starting off with a long wrestling match. However, Rollins' captivating never say die run through the gauntlet certainly held the crowd's imagination throughout. Rollins will look to carry that momentum over when he enters the Elimination Chamber this Sunday for a shot at Brock Lesnar and the Universal title at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Seth Rollins, what was amazing about this was that even though Rollins beat two top guys, Roman Reigns, I hear the boos, and John Cena, I hear more boos, even though he beat both those guys, two wrestlers who are incredibly high ranked in the WWE, even though you might not like them for some reason. But he said on the interview with Renee Young that it means nothing unless he comes out of the elimination match and goes to WrestleMania to go against Brock Lesnar. So DX Girl 69 has cut in here, and it's okay, saying it's Roman versus Brock at WrestleMania. So I think my son Brandon, who's on the chat box here, had asked me my prediction, and I was busy setting up for this week's show. And I said to Brandon, you know what? It's probably going to be Seth Rollins. And he said he hopes so. I have to say something now that with my son being on here, that his opinions are his own opinions. We don't always share opinions. We used to watch wrestling together, WWE, we watched WCW together, and we never really saw eye to eye at times. So Brandon, thanks for your opinions. And I want to thank everybody for joining us right now. The big news is that tomorrow, Friday, I fly out of Apter's Alley, and I'm headed to a suburb of Richmond, Virginia, called Waynesboro, Virginia. At Waynesboro High School on Saturday, there will be a fan fest that I will have the pleasure of hosting, and I'll also be selling my book. Looking down at my phone here because this is going to tie right into our first guest here. And that night will be dedicated to the Four Horsemen. It's the night of the Four Horsemen. And it's also the day before Ric Flair's birthday. So I want to shake his hand, wish him happy birthday. But go to Awesome Wrestling Entertainment on Facebook, and you can find out all the details. Now, this show has been sold out for weeks, but Marvin Ward, Doug Ward, the promoter, told me that they were able to open up some other seats, and there'll also be private signings with Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, JJ Dillon. Go to the Awesome Wrestling Entertainment website on Facebook, not the website. Go to there. Yeah, you can go to the website too, and you'll get all the details. So right now, one of the Four Horsemen who's going to be there and will be signing as well is the man who is known as the Total Package, Lex Luger. And I asked him, would you be my guest, one of my guests on this week's live Apter Mag chat? And he said he would love to. So I've got his number right here. Actually, he's programmed in my phone. And let's see if he's in right now. This is live, so there's no, unless you're watching the replay. So we might just get his answering machine. What would that sound like? Hi, this is the Total Package. I'm not here right now, so leave the package at the door. I don't know. Just being silly here. Okay, let me get the dial up here, and I hope some of you people can't listen to tones here and figure out people's phone numbers. It's ringing. We have a connection.
Hey, Bill.
Hello, is this Lex Luger?
It is.
You hold on 1 minute. I want to try and get us a better connection because we are live on YouTube. Are you there, Lex?
I am, Bill.
Now I can hear you really, really, really well. Thank you so much. We have tons of listeners right now. We are live on YouTube. And I want to thank you for agreeing to come on, because there's a big event going on this week on Saturday at Waynesboro, Virginia High School. Promoter Marvin, or Doug Ward, is running an event called the Night of the Horsemen. During the day, you, Tully Blanchard, Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, and JJ Dillon will be there signing autographs. And in the evening, you'll be at the show. So how long has it been since you saw some of your friends of the Four Horsemen?
I saw him a while back in Philadelphia on the pay-per-view weekend.
Yes. So that was a little while ago. What's it?
It was always great to see those guys.
I was going to ask, what's it like for you to get together with the guys that you ran with during the peak part of your career?
Oh, we played such an integral role in each other's lives. It's like we were never apart. It's always great to see him. We do tell each other a big hug and smiles and great memories, great times. So we got to just pick right up where we left off, Bill. It's always great to see the guys.
The going to the conventions, and I see you at a lot of the conventions. What are some of the things? And by the way, that show is sold out. I understand they may have opened up some more seats, but if you people want to try and go to the show, or at least the convention in the afternoon, go to the Awesome Wrestling Entertainment Facebook page, and you can get all your information there. So when you see fans at the conventions, what are some of the things that they ask you and that they want to know about Lex Luger?
Well, usually it's more the interaction, and we share some of their memories, and they ask me some of my memories of matches or events. And a lot of times it was events they were at or cities they were in. It's always also great to interact with the fans. So we usually share that and get a picture together, and we all get to put it on our social media. So I don't actually do a lot.
I know that
of the signings, but I love going to them. I love seeing the guys I worked with, and more than anything, love interacting with the fans. We always share some great memories, for sure.
I have such great memories of photographing so many of your matches when you first started down in Florida. But I always go back to the incredible series of matches that you had against Ric Flair. Could you talk about that a bit?
Oh, my gosh, what an opportunity, Bill. Number one, you were instrumental in really putting me on the map with World of Wrestling back in the day. I'll always be thankful for that.
Thank you.
Number one, you played a huge role in the progression of my career, and also Nate. I mean, to be able to work with him hundreds of times over the years. I had hundreds of matches with him, and him obviously being one of the best, if not the best ever. What an incredible opportunity. He took me from a guy who was brand new in the ring, and he integrated me in with the Horsemen. I got to work with Tully and Arn and JJ and him. I first came into NWA and with WCW. So what an incredible opportunity just to rub elbows with those guys and be in the ring with them. You can learn so much. So that was a tremendous opportunity. Rick was just a super, and Arn, Tully, and JJ, great group of guys to be around. Outside of the ring as well, we had a blast.
So you wound up. Oh, I know it was a good time. I was on the road with you guys quite a bit, and I loved it. It was wonderful. So you went from an opponent of Ric Flair to somebody coming over to you one day and saying, "You know what? We're putting you with the Four Horsemen." What was that moment like, since you were regarded so much as a good guy back then when you were wrestling Flair?
I was really just getting started down in Florida when I wrestled Rick. So when they brought me in the Four Horsemen, I didn't really understand the magnitude of that. I'd heard of the Four Horsemen. I'd never met Arn and Tully or JJ, only Rick. So
really,
I knew I was going, oh man, I can't believe the 4 Horsemen. Everybody else was so excited. I knew it was something really big. So I had no idea how big that was and what an incredible opportunity it was going to turn out to be at the time.
Is there one thing that you did not accomplish in pro wrestling that you look back and you say, boy, if only I could have?
Man, that's a great question, but nothing pops into my mind. I felt like my career was the 4th of July fireworks thanks to you guys and all the people and the fans. And for 15 years, I got to compete at every huge angles and matches and work with probably almost every top talent of my generation. I really can't think of anything. I feel like I missed out. I'm so thankful and appreciative, and it's hard to imagine that to have a 15-year career like that. It's really
it was really amazing.
To be incredible.
And one of the things I want to thank you for is that in the days when you were on top, if I needed a picture or an interview, you were always there for me. And I remember when you came up to the magazine office back when I was with Pro Wrestling Illustrated, someone in that office designed.
You and I came up there one time together.
Yes. And one of the workers there, one of the editors actually, made a huge package, and we had you on the cover as the total package.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I sign that all the time. People love that cover shot.
Oh yeah, that was a great cover.
Many great covers. I got to meet your sons, and it's great to see them now. They're all grown up. It's incredible. You're treating me like family, Bill, and I will always appreciate that.
Actually, you did meet my son Brandon and my daughter Haley. I have pictures, and Brandon is in the chat room right now. So some of the fans are, and thank you for saying that, by the way. Some of the fans are asking some questions. Big Ray, who is one of the top reporters in all of pro wrestling, and he writes and does. He doesn't do a lot of writing, but he's one of our video reporters, top of the line. He says the Lex Express in the house. So talk about the Lex Express.
Oh wow, what a whirlwind tour! I literally spent 6 weeks on a bus. We did almost every state in the country. A promotional tour like only the WWE can put together, and the McMahon family. And it was we did like early morning radio, like from 6 a.m. to the late night stuff. In every city we went to, we did live signings at shopping malls and Toys R Us's, and oh my gosh, it was an incredible 6 weeks culminating with SummerSlam. So that was a great experience. I got to bring my family on part of it.
I remember
it was they really treated us good on that tour. It was a lot of fun.
One of the great things is I remember when the Lex Express pulled into Center City, Philadelphia, and you went up and saw kids at the Children's Hospital. And
we had a lot of. You really planned out and mapped out a great tour. I got an opportunity to meet a lot of the fans in all sorts of different situations, such as that as well. So it was really, really fabulous.
Yeah, you were always, not just with the kids, but when I used to see you coming out of the arenas, even when you were a bad guy. See, I don't say babyface and heel. Even when you were a bad guy, you stopped and you talked to fans, and that was great. So DX Girl 69 says, my husband's favorite memory of Lex Luger is Lex and Yokozuna on the USS Intrepid. No one will ever forget that.
Magical moment.
Tell us your memory of that.
The helicopter ride going in was scary. I'd never been in a helicopter ride like that before, so that was scary. But
Lex, hold on. Lex, hold on one second. You're not drifting, but your volume's going down a bit. So I don't know if you're on a Bluetooth or so. Let's try it again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was quite an experience. The helicopter ride in scared the daylights out of me. I've never been in a ride in a helicopter like that before, but it was really quite the moment.
And they're talking about, actually, she adds, when Lex flipped Yokozuna. Now that was, when you talk about incredible moments in the history of the pro wrestling business, when you picked him up and slammed him, that was the shock felt all around the world.
Yeah, it was. I was nervous because I didn't have good footing, and Yokozuna almost landed himself. It was a hilarious moment, but he was so agile, Yokozuna. But just the way they set it up for the 4th of July with the skyline in the background on USS Intrepid, it was just a fabulous, incredible moment.
One other question. Now, one fan, let's see where I can find it here. Kelly Matthews says Lex Luger was on the first episode of Nitro. And I remember sitting there with my son Brandon watching Nitro at the first episode, and Lex Luger, what's he doing here? Oh my goodness. That started such a war. I mean, the first episode of Nitro, and here's a guy who was a known commodity in WWE, and you show up there. Could you give a little memory of that, of what happened there?
Yeah, but Eric Bischoff and Sting planned all that out, and it was one of the best kept secrets ever, because we all know how hard it is behind the scenes to keep secrets in wrestling, and they smuggled me in. Under contract with WWE. I was working on a handshake with them, and I was available, and nobody knew that.
Yeah. Other
than Sting and Eric Bischoff, and they snuck me in town, and no one knew I was there. And no one knew I was there till right before the moment they hid me in another part of the mall until right before I went out to the ring, so no one knew I was there. It was quite a surprise for everybody, including all the guys that were there.
Yes. Yeah, that was the only other reaction.
It was a great surprise.
Yeah, and that of course was followed time later with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash and Medusa and all those people coming in, but you were the first one.
Yeah, the Monday Night Wars began.
Yeah, I can still see it. So years later, after you would see Vince McMahon again, what would he say to you about all that?
I'm sorry, what's that? I
said years later, when you would see Vince McMahon, after all that happened and all that, was it easy just for the two of you to become friends again? Lex, are you still there?
I am. Okay. I did not hear the question.
Okay, I'm just wondering that years later, when you saw Vince McMahon again, did you ever discuss what happened with him?
Years later,
when you'd see Vince again after WCW was over, did you ever discuss that with Vince? What went on?
Well, no. Only time I've been around was at an airport. We shook hands, and smiled, and hugged, and but we didn't get any in-depth conversation about that particular, my switch from there to there.
Just curious.
We've never had any kind of real discussion about that.
I've always wondered about that. So tell everybody what you're doing these days. Now, I know because
I am up here in beautiful Buffalo, New York, hanging out with my 84-year-old mom. I'm her unofficial, and I'm not really an Uber driver, but I drive her around, and we hang out, and we are having a blast.
84 years old.
Yeah, I'm an unofficial Uber driver. We hang out, and I take her to the mall for a walk, and we're just having a great time. Precious time with my mom, Bill. So that's my main focus right now is that.
You don't charge her Uber rates, I hope.
No, I don't. I'm a free Uber driver.
Now, one thing, when I see you at conventions, we always talk about this. Your whole life changed. You became a very religious person. And I assume you're still involved in that?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I was a born-again believer on April 23rd of 06. And I just got surrounded with a cloud of incredible disciplers and mentors in my life. And I just try to give back and do the same thing now for others that was done for me. So it's given me a true purpose and a mission in life and a peace that I never had before, no matter, even with all those accomplishments from a worldly perspective. So it's been a great journey for me that I continue on day by day, and I'm very thankful for that.
That's great. That's great. By the way, I have to chime in. And tell you that Big Ray in the chat box has called your mother the total mommy.
I'm sorry, what was that, Bill?
Big Ray, our correspondent, has chimed in the chat box and said, your mother is the total mommy. That's
I like that.
great.
That's good.
Yes,
Very creative.
yes, that's great. So
Yes,
can people find you anywhere on social media?
Yes, Genuine Lex Luger.
Genuine Lex on Twitter. Genuine.
I'm not real active on social media, but I do a little bit of tweeting now and then.
All right. Well, I personally am so looking forward to seeing you this weekend in Waynesboro, Virginia, at the Awesome Wrestling Show. And also we will be joined by another compadre of ours who's also a very religious man and a dear friend of yours and mine. Nikita Koloff will be there.
Nice. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great weekend. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Lex Luger, thank you so much for your time. And we will see you in Waynesboro and at the matches. And
yes, sir.
Thank you again for everything you did for me and for the fans and all the years of quality athletic entertainment that you gave everyone.
Done for me. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Lex. Wow. I love doing these things live because there's nothing like, see, let me plug back in here. There's nothing like doing these segments live. Now, I want to go to, I mentioned that JJ Dillon will be, and again, there's tons of stuff here in the chat box, but I'm trying to keep our magazine format flowing here. And if I look to the side, it's either the chat box or my notes here. So again, this is live video, radio, podcasto. Last week on this podcast, on my classic interview segment that I have here on my old cassette recorder, interviews from years and years ago, I played an interview with Dick Murdoch, Dirty Dick Murdoch, who was the first partner, first tag team partner of Dusty Rhodes as the Outlaws. And during that interview, Dick Murdoch said that when he wrestled in Amarillo, this wrestler called Jim Dillon, JJ Dillon, he hadn't become JJ Dillon at this point, had put a bounty on his head. So later on, in the same night that I interviewed Dick Murdoch, I cornered Jim Dillon and I asked him, why did you put a bounty on the head of Dick Murdoch? So let's go to this week's classic interview and listen to Jim Dillon, who became JJ Dillon. It is here, fans, and it was working.
Okay, this is Bill Apter, and we're speaking here to, a guy you could call one of wrestling's greatest rule breakers, speaking specifically of Jim Dillon. Jim, first of all, let's get right into the feud you've been involved with Dick Murdoch. You put a bounty on Dick Murdoch's head, and you want to wipe the man out, run him out of wrestling. Why?
Well, it's a long story, Bill, and I guess to put it in chronological order, I guess it's been over a year now that I went to the southwestern part of the United States into the Texas Panhandle area, and of course Dick Murdoch was very popular there at the time, and I'm from New Jersey, and I guess you might classify me, or they classified me as a city boy or a city slicker or what have you, and as such, I guess maybe I look down on the so-called country boys or hicks or rubes or whatever a city boy refers to the country boys as. And
Big trouble.
I guess Dick Murdoch kind of stood out as a sore thumb as the epitome of the country boys, and I kind of nicknamed him Richard the Rube Murdoch along those lines. And the whole thing really started as, I guess, more of a personality conflict than anything else.
Okay, now let me ask you this question, Jim. You put the bounty on his head, and it's been a long time, close to a year. You haven't been able to put him away, and neither have any of the guys, really, that you've sent up against him, including guys like King Curtis, who have bloodied the hell out of him, Ernie Ladd. When is this going to end? You know, what's the situation here? You two guys going to kill each other?
Well, I really
Magazine
don't know.
talk.
It's funny. Shortly after I arrived in Amarillo, we were involved in a Russian chain match in Amarillo, a night that Terry Funk went after the World Championship against Jack Briscoe. And that given night, Murdoch jumped off the top rope into the side of my face, and I had a hairline fracture in my jaw, and I was out of wrestling at that time for approximately 6 weeks, and I wanted to go back to New Jersey and heal. And that's really the point from which the bounty originated.
Okay, so that is why we now have the answer. Dick Murdoch wanted the answer. Unfortunately, he's not on our earth here to hear that answer, but we have cleared it up. Finally, one of the mysteries of pro wrestling. Okay, right now, let's go back to our format here, and it's time for some more rankings. Let's go right now to, let's get our T-Volt and Travis Volt, one of our sensational reporters. He's checking in here with Impact Wrestling rankings. Take it away.
Howdy, fans. T-Volt's back from the rankings department with your Impact Wrestling Top 10. Now, keep in mind, these are based on what's presented on their weekly program on Pop, Time Delay, and all. Coming in at number 10, the debuting Brian Cage, who Impact Wrestling is predicting big things. What says you? Number 9, and taking the DQ loss to Lashley, Sami Callihan. And that leaves number 8, Bobby Lashley. Again, this is what's being presented currently on their television program. Number 7, Taiji Ishimori.
Well
pronounced. Yes, I continue to gain fame for my pronunciation. Number 6, Moose. Number 5, the current X Division champion, Matt Sydal, who is experiencing quite a career resurgence.
Or Sydal.
Number 4, Alberto El Patron, who seems destined for that heavyweight title picture. Number 3, the man of many last names, Johnny Impact. And number 2, the former heavyweight champion, Eli Drake. And that, of course, leaves number 1. He is the belt collector. He is the Impact World Champion, the greatest man who ever lived, self-proclaimed, Austin Aries. Hey, fans, hit me up with your feedback on the Twitter at PW Paper Champion. Until then, back to Bill.
All right. Thank you very much, T-Volts. And right now, let's go to the Gonzo Shark is swimming into...
Good evening, humanoids. This is Gonzo Shark.
Tell him.
The Aftermag video podcast.
Tell him what you got.
And once again, it's time to get down to brass tacks on the WWE Women's Division. And I'm going to drop another weekly Real Deal Women's Top 10 ranking.
He can do it.
Holding her spot at number 10 is the Riot Squad's Sarah Logan. Moving in at number 9 and bumping Lana out of her spot is the one and only Becky Lynch. At number 8, former SmackDown Live Women's Champion, Naomi.
Yeah.
Bumping down a spot at number 7 is Absolution's Mandy Rose. Fighting her way in at number 6 is the Riot Squad's Ruby Riott. At number 5, the one and only boss, Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
Holding her spot strong at number 4 is the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. At number 3, the baddest woman in the WWE Women's Division, Nia Jax. At number 2, holding her spot strong, is Raw Women's Champion, Alexa Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
And still holding her spot at number 1 is the one and only SmackDown Live Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair.
Woo!
You can follow me on Twitter at GonzoShark1.
Do that.
On Facebook.com/GonzoShark1. You can read all of my material.
Where?
At OneWrestling.com.
Yes.
And Vince Russo's The Brand.
Yes.
Until next time, this is Gonzo Shark checking out.
All right. Gonzo Shark. Thank you, T-Volts. Thank you for the ranking this week. Once again, I have a photo to show you from my finger book. And in case you're joining us for the very first time here on the Apter Mag, I have a collection of wrestlers, boxers, and even celebrities that long before Stone Cold Steve Austin ever gave anyone the bird, these people gave me the bird. Do you remember the very first, I'm looking for it, but I don't have it handy here, the very first VHS tape ever done of pro wrestling? It was called Lords of the Ring, and Gordon Soley and I hosted it. And it was presented by Pro Wrestling Illustrated. The producer was he wasn't at this time, he was a current New Jersey politician, John Berzicelli. But Gordon had seen the finger book, and he said to me, well, babe, I'd gladly like to give you the finger for the finger book. So we decided, rather than just him giving me the finger, both of us would give me the finger. So there is Gordon Soley and I giving me the finger. Big Ray saying that was his very first VHS wrestling videotape. And as you can see here, I had so much hair over here. But this is this week's finger of the week photo. And I will have one for weeks and weeks and weeks to come. All right. Now, this is going to be totally different. Totally different. We're going back to the Apter phone. Ian Riccaboni, along with Colt Cabana, are the broadcasters for Ring of Honor. And I think there's a lot of buzz going on. I have to put in my password here. I'm doing it down here. Not down there, down here. There's a lot of buzz going on about Ring of Honor, especially with the fact that they have a record crowd coming to their show in New Orleans, NOLA, not Las Vegas, New Orleans, Louisiana, on WrestleMania weekend. And Ian Riccaboni, half of that broadcast team, is going to be joining us each week, some weeks taped, to bring us the Ring of Honor top 10 and give us some Ring of Honor news. So let's call him live. Hopefully he's there. I told him we'd probably be calling him up around 7:45 or so. Let's see if he answers.
Wonderful Willie.
It is Wonderful Willie. Hold on, let me connect us. Are you there?
I sure am.
Oh, we can hear you great now.
Oh, terrific.
Have you been watching the show today?
You know, I just wrapped up tucking in the little guy.
Oh, yeah.
We just got the bed, and he's all set. So, you know, I heard Lex was on.
Yeah, Lex was on, and your little guy and your wife are fine. Just to let you people know that once in a while in the suburb that I live in, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia, my wife and I, well, my wife always goes on the walking track, and sometimes I agree reluctantly to go and walk. And a few times we're walking, and I look at this guy. He looks like Ian from Ring of Honor, and it was he, his wife, and his little guy. And we started meeting each other, not on purpose, many times at Montauk Commons.
Right.
Yeah. So we miss seeing you there because you've moved.
Oh yeah, I moved back to my hometown, one of the great hotbeds of professional wrestling, Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So,
the former home of hang on one moment. The former home of the Bud Carson's Pro Wrestling World. They closed a few weeks ago. You were there on the last day, and I was there on the last day.
Sure was, and you know that was really special for me. But been a great friend throughout my life, and I remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old, I found his store for the first time, and I was one of the first people through his doors. So it was special to me for somebody that used to let me talk his ear off for hours on hours, and let me just sit in his store and watch videotapes with him of things I'd never seen before. Yeah. You know, it was really special to me to wish him well into his retirement. And I'm glad that he's going to be doing, I understand he'll be doing some events and things like that.
Yes.
Where, he'll be having some autograph signings. So excited that he'll still be around in that capacity. And of course, Allentown's the home of Ag Hall, where the great WWF tapings were, and home of the Nasty Boys and Billy Kidman. So I'm very proud to carry on this Allentonian tradition.
Yes, and I remember shooting matches at Ag Hall way back in the Bruno days.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, doggone it, as Bruno would say. So I want to congratulate you. Finally, I can do this on the air for becoming part of, just growing from a wrestling fan into the great position you have right now at Ring of Honor, sitting beside Colt Cabana as the broadcast team.
Oh, I appreciate that. And
you're good. You're good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've got a lot of good people around me, and Colt's definitely one of them. But of course, I can't, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Kevin Kelly for his part in getting me ready and for the opportunity being there. And, me being the top of mind for him to step into the role. And even, it's been such a thrill. I've been fortunate to meet guys like Tony Schiavone, who I've been able to talk to about commentating and really pick his brain as well.
Wait. What kind of advice did Tony Schiavone give you? Fair question.
Wife is always right, and he's to wear whatever she picks out. And he was tremendous. I actually met him at Carson's Pro Wrestling World. We were on the same autograph signing, and Tony, he gave me a lot of great advice. Simple things: be yourself. Lose yourself in what you're calling. Be authentic. Just things that sometimes you forget when you're trying to break in and when you're trying to make your name, because a lot of times you forget that who you are is what got you there.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You're trying to become somebody that you think somebody else might like, but in reality, the reason you're there is because of who you are. So, it was nice to have those sorts of reminders, and that came 1 week before one of our pay-per-views. So that was an extra special reminder too.
Sure,
I went into that pay-per-view with a little extra juice.
Sure. So I had asked you if you wouldn't mind doing a weekly top 10 Ring of Honor for the Apter Mag show here on the Apter chat. And I'd like to go, and I mentioned to the fans that there are some weeks that you'll be here live, and there are some weeks that you will be taping the rankings, just like Travis Volts and Gonzo Shark do. So this week's Ring of Honor top 10, and then let's talk a little bit about Ring of Honor, and hopefully some fans have questions as well.
That would be terrific. And this is such an honor for me because I don't know if I've ever told you this. My favorite part of Pro Wrestling Illustrated Inside Wrestling was going to the back and seeing the top 10s from all different territories.
Wow. So I picked the right guy to do this.
Yeah, this is the right segment for me, right? So this is
definitely,
and it was always so much fun seeing names that you never saw before, and then them inevitably maybe showing up down the road in the NWA or ECW or WWF. So this is pretty neat for me.
I put the ratings together for the magazines. That was one of my key positions. So take it right now. Do you want to start at the number 10 spot in Ring of Honor?
Sure, I'd love to. At number 10, I have the Hangman, Adam Page. Adam Page has been winning wherever he goes, whether that's the United States, whether that's Japan, whether it's Europe. He's a young man on the roll. 2017 breakout star,
yes,
as voted on by ROHWrestling.com fans. Adam Page is 1/3 of the six-man champs. And so not only is he a great, tag team wrestler with the Young Bucks and that six-man team, but he's a great single star as well. And he picked up some pins with his finishing move, the Rite of Passage in Japan, just on the last go-round at the New Beginning. So I have Adam Page at number 10.
So you see what I like about this, by the way, you're already doing the right thing because you're doing a ratings analysis. I like this. Go ahead, number 9.
Yeah.
Number 9.
When Bill Apter calls and says he wants the top 10, you get your stuff together. So I have Adam Page at number 10.
Okay.
I have Shane Taylor He's a big, massive 300-pound man from East Cleveland, tough as they come. And he's been picking up wins. He's run into a couple of the guys that we'll see later in the ranking, so I couldn't rank him higher, even though I want to. If you were doing this on potential, this young man's lost about 100 pounds recently. He's got a really great story about how he led a pretty rough life, and he's trying to do things legit, and he's trying to earn money in wrestling and as a fighter, but he keeps getting torn. He keeps accepting money for payment, hitman for hire type thing. So that's been eating at him lately, but his success in the ring's been pretty good. So I have Shane Taylor at number 9.
I've got $1 here in case he runs short. Go ahead. Go ahead. Number 8.
Right. Number 8, the Marty Scurll, the villain, and this is kind of crazy to have him this low, but this just speaks to the depth right now in Ring of Honor. Marty's a guy who defeated Shane Taylor recently on Ring of Honor television. And he is a guy who believes he is a top contender for the world championship. And I believe that too. Unfortunately, things are so stacked right now that you could take just about anybody from number 3 to number 8, and you could say they have a rightful claim to be the number 1 contender. But
sure,
Marty's one of the great TV champs that we've ever had. And, certainly number 3 through number 8, any of these guys could be the number 1 contender. So, Marty Scurll, by virtue of having beat Shane Taylor, is 1 spot ahead. Number 8.
By the way, I remember when I met him in England, he was Party Marty.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
What a transformation there, huh? He's he's just focused, and that Bullet Club Association helps pretty well, doesn't it?
Doesn't hurt. Go ahead. Next one.
Yeah, next one we got is number 7, and that's Matt Taven. He's the bad boy from Boston. He's the leader of the Kingdom, and he's a guy that is he's held 3 out of the 4 active Ring of Honor championships. He's looking for that world championship. He believes there's a Kingdom conspiracy that's preventing him from getting a shot at the title. He recently stole Cody's Ring of Honor, that proud ring that Cody wears, that means so much to him, and he delivered some low blows to Cody as well. So they have a match coming up on Friday, March 9th in Las Vegas, 16th anniversary.
Now, wait a minute. Las Vegas. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's going to be a grudge match because things have been percolating quite a bit. They had a television match, which Cody won by securing a low blow behind the referee's back, and this thing's just been going back and forth. But Taven's a guy who's a perennial star for us, and I have him at number 7.
See, that when it was Dirty Dusty Rhodes, he would be very proud of Cody for doing that.
Oh,
when Dusty was a bad guy, is Dirty Dusty Rhodes, before he became the American Dream.
And I think he'd be proud of the ring too. I remember when he introduced the Battle Bowl ring and his affinity, for the ring to signify the championship, whether it was a Super Bowl ring or a World Series ring. He
did a tournament in Florida, Lords of the Ring, and it was also that same thing. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Didn't mean to
that's okay.
kill your momentum.
I believe that was a Pro Wrestling Illustrated VHS, wasn't it?
No, well, that was Lords of the Rings, yes. But he also did a tournament called Lords of the Ring back then, or Lords of the Rings. Somebody will correct me on that because I can't locate. I had the tape on my desk here at Apter's Alley last week, and it's gone. But go ahead.
Oh, no.
Next one. It's here. It's in the alley somewhere.
Yeah, next one we have Punishment Martinez, who's about 6'6.5". He's got a great martial arts background. He's a monstrous man who's fast, he's quick, he's destructive. He would have been higher, but he recently lost a really back and forth world title match of his own that he had earned by winning a tournament called Survival of the Fittest. And so Punishment Martinez, he falls back a little bit, but he really took the champ to the limit. So I have him at number 6.
Okay.
At number 5, we have a former world champion, the American Nightmare, Cody.
Yes.
Cody recently, he defeated Matt Taven on television 2 weeks ago. And he and Matt Taven are on a collision course for 16th anniversary in Las Vegas on March 9th. But he's got a big match coming up against a young up-and-comer making his Japanese debut this weekend, Flip Gordon. And so Cody's Cody's got kind of this vortex around him right now. For those that watch the series, being the Elite, which is put together by the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, Marty Scurll, Cody. There's some dissension right now, and it's led to a match between the two folks thought of as leaders of the Bullet Club, which is Cody and Kenny Omega.
Yes.
And and that's going to happen Super Card of Honor Saturday, April 7th. But what's crazy is Cody, despite all this, he's winning on television. He's beating Matt Taven. He's putting his irons into all kinds of fires. He's taking matches with Flip Gordon, who's one of the most exciting young stars we have. And he keeps saying Bullet Club is fine. And I don't know if
it's not. No, I've been keeping my eye on that. And by the way, after you go to number one, I want to talk about Ring of Honor in New Orleans that weekend. So let's keep going on.
Oh, absolutely. And number four, I have a man who challenges this weekend for the Ring of Honor World Television title, the former champion Kenny King. He gets his first one-on-one shot for the title this weekend on Ring of Honor Television. He lost the championship in New York back in December.
Yes.
But he was hit in the head with a beer bottle by Beer City Bruiser. So he gets his first one-on-one shot in this coming weekend on television, on Ring of Honor Television.
Depending upon when you're watching this. So.
Right, that's true.
Right.
And number three, I have the former world champion, Jay Lethal.
Yes.
The man that I've nicknamed the franchise. He embodies everything about Ring of Honor. One of the great champions we've ever had. For 2 years, he held either the World Television or World Championship, one or both, simultaneously. So Jay Lethal, he's number three.
Okay.
He is the number one contender for the Ring of Honor World Championship. He faces Dalton Castle. If Dalton Castle is still the champion at our pay-per-view on Friday, March 9th, 16th anniversary. At number two, I have a man Jay Lethal knows very well, the World Television Champion Silas Young,
right.
Who I mentioned will be defending against Kenny King this weekend on Ring of Honor Television. And then finally, you got to have the champ at number one.
Absolutely.
And I know Pro Wrestling Illustrated used to have the champion and then the list, but
yeah,
I couldn't think of a list without Dalton Castle being number one.
Of course not. In bold type.
Oh, absolutely. And
type,
he's been the champion since Final Battle in December, and he's taken the championship to he took the championship to Europe recently. He had it with him in the Swiss Alps. He defeated very game competitors in Germany and various other countries. So he's truly made it a world championship already. And this weekend on New Japan World, it's Honor Rising. So some of the stars from Ring of Honor compete against some of the New Japan stars. He will actually defend the title against Beretta, who's a member of Best Friends, Roppongi Vice. So that's going to be a big test. And, you know, we have these promotional materials printed up with Dalton Castle and Jay Lethal for the World Championship. But I wouldn't be surprised.
It can all change. It can all change. Yeah.
And we had to do it last year at last year's Supercard. Had big posters printed up with Adam Cole versus Dalton Castle. Well, guess what? Adam Cole lost the championship to Christopher Daniels, and we had to change the posters.
Yes, things do change. I wanted to talk about New Orleans. Very exciting on WrestleMania weekend. The Ring of Honor show there at this time has sold so many tickets. It's a record crowd for Ring of Honor in their entire history, correct?
Correct. By well over 1,000 now as of press time, which says a lot. I mean, Ring of Honor has really become a bit of a movement in that, you know, it's always been a place for the best young stars to showcase their talent. But guys like the Young Bucks, guys like, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, the Motor City Machine Guns, they've made it a destination, and they've made it not only a place for the best young stars to come, but Bully Ray, who's our enforcer, Cody, who's a big international star.
Wow.
And we've just grown and grown, and the Women of Honor movement, which I'm sure we'll touch on briefly as well.
Well, what I'd like to do with that is, can I have you commit to doing this again next week? Because I'd like to talk about that in detail next week.
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so we will bring you back next week to talk about Women of Honor and maybe a women's Ring of Honor top 10, or if not, just
sure.
Yeah, I think that would be great because we're running out of time for this particular segment. I also wanted to mention, and I know you're not involved in this, but Ring of Honor is getting such long-reaching arms because they're involved now in the Chris Jericho cruise. And if you want to know more about that, fans, just Google Chris Jericho cruise. And there's going to be a Sea of Honor because Ring of Honor is involved with a lot of their wrestlers being on this cruise. And Kenny Omega is going to be on this cruise. I don't know if Cody Rhodes is yet, but I can just hear "Man Overboard." Yeah.
Well, that speaks to what's going on with them. And, Kenny Omega's a guy that is just an incredible international star. And it speaks, to Ring of Honor's reputation. He's going to be headlining at Supercard of Honor. And it's so rare that the World Championship isn't the number one match announced. But this is such a match of incredible magnitude. It's a civil war within the Bullet Club. And to have Kenny Omega, to have Cody one-on-one, hopefully settle it in the ring, and hopefully bygones can be bygones. It's going to be something else, and it's incredible that we get to have that match. And the thing about Supercard of Honor was we almost broke the record before any matches were announced.
Oh, I know that. It's amazing.
So that just speaks to the Ring of Honor name, and then suddenly, you announce a match of that magnitude, and the tickets just, they just keep flying. And I warn fans with peace and love, as Ringo Starr says.
All right.
Get your tickets. Get your tickets now, because last year we had the Hardys, we had the Young Bucks. One of the greatest matches I've ever called. Lived up to every expectation, and we had to turn away hundreds of fans. So don't get locked out. Don't miss your opportunity.
You got to be there.
You have to. And, it's going to be streaming on Honor Club, too, which is a great new service.
Yes.
And, you can get your membership. That's part of the regular membership, from what I understand. But go to ROHWrestling.com for all the details. And that's where you can see next weekend's Manhattan Mayhem. Bill, I think I'm talking your ear off. I got so much news.
No, that's all right. But like I said, I want to bring you back next week so we can talk about Women of Honor. One thing I want to ask you, and you got to be unbiased before I let you go.
Sure.
Okay? There's been a lot of talk that the Young Bucks want to clash with the Usos. Young Bucks in one corner, Usos in the other corner. Who wins?
Wow.
Yeah.
Bill, I'm getting another call right now.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can discuss that next week.
No, I
Is it Sinclair? Is it Sinclair or Connecticut on the call here?
Oh, right. I think it's both. I see a Connecticut area code and a Baltimore area code. No, those are. I love tag team wrestling. Tag team has always been my favorite. And when I got into wrestling, it was the Rockers, the British Bulldogs. It was the Rougeaus. It was the Midnight Express.
Oh God, I got in during Rocca and Perez. So.
So, I see these teams, and I've wanted tag team wrestling to go back to an era where teams felt like teams.
But wait a minute. We got to get to the question here. Who would win that match? I can't let this go.
The Young Bucks.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right, we got it.
I'm biased, though.
That's all right. I said no bias, but I have a feeling you'd think that whether you were biased or non-biased. We're out of time for this week's segment. Ian, please return next week. Let's talk about Women of Honor and update on everything that's going on Ring of Honor. And we really love that you're doing this.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Bill. And right. We'll talk soon.
And Bill Apter and Ian Riccaboni, we'll see you at Ring of Honor matches. All right. That was great. If you follow Ring of Honor, that's okay. So now it's time to go into your mailbag. You've been asking questions for the past hour, and I try to not do more than 1 hour every week. I got several people who are in line as guests for next week. And thanks for all the nice things you were saying on here about, about, I don't know who that is. This says it's a private number. Hold on a minute. Let's see who this is. Hello? Who is this? Yeah, do you want me to put you online here, Big Ray? Well, hold on, please, because we're just going. Okay, Big Ray Hernandez is on the phone here, our main video reporter. Okay, can you hear me, Big Ray? Hello, hello. Are you there? Hello, Big Ray. No, I don't know where he went. He was here. I don't know where he disappeared to. Let's see if we can get him back. Anyway, right now I want to go and see if I can get to some of your questions. And again, thank you for all the great feedback on the JJ Dillon, old school interview there, and about the Ian Riccaboni interview, and of course the Lex Luger interview. Okay, Spot Center Nana said saw Jim Dillon a few times at KSWA here in Pittsburgh. Okay, Dougie Fresh Richards, I want Buff Bagwell in the Hall of Fame because Buff is the stuff. Okay, Big Ray's wrestling show. I have a crush on Travis Volt. It must be his voice. Let me look and see if there's any other questions before we go. Kelly Matt, MD Song saying, I so miss Gordon Soley. I do too. He was a dear friend, and what a great broadcaster. Indeed, the great Gordon Soley. It's the best imitation I could do of Gordon Soley. No other question. Well, there's a lot of questions here, but they're all for our guests. Andrew Rojas, Conan was talking about Phantasma going over to India to pull off his gimmick. I have no idea why we're even talking about that. Mick Paul, Super Kick City. We're talking about the Young Bucks against the Usos. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I would love to see that. The phone is, we're going again. So before we wrap up, let's see who this is. The phone's ringing, but nothing's there. Hold on a minute. You're on the air.
I am on the air. Bill Apter, what is going on, sir?
I'm getting ready to wrap up, Big Ray. What's up?
Unbelievable. I just don't understand how you're doing this whole magazine thing. You have Travis Volt on, you have a shark on, you don't call me. I'm actually hurt.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna cure your hurt. 2 weeks ago, I asked you to do some rankings. You didn't have time. So next week.
That is not true. Heels over strong. What are you talking
about?
No,
I don't say heel. That's bad guys and good guys. But I will award you the opportunity because you're our top video reporter here. Before, hang on a minute. I get that stuff on the lip here when I don't have a drink. I'm talking about sparkling ice to drink. But for next week's show, if you'd like to come up with a top 10 of something different than Raw, SmackDown, Impact, women, something different, a top 10 that will be your opinion of a top 10, we would love to utilize that.
That sounds like fun. I just wanted to get on and just basically tell you how awesome this magazine-style video show is.
Well,
this is one of my favorite things to watch.
Thank you.
And, it's just amazing how you continue to adapt with the time, the way your comb-over adapts with the wind. It is amazing.
It's there. Thank you. I do appreciate that, Big Ray. And keep up the great work you do for OneWrestlingVideo.com. It's so appreciated, the quality work that you do. All right.
Well, you're the quality. I sit under your learning tree, Bill. You are the best, sir.
Well, thank you. So before I leave here, you know what my catchphrase is, that I'll see you at blah, blah, blah. So when I count three, hang on, you say it and I'll mouth it. We've never done this before.
You got it.
So everyone, I need you to Don't forget to follow us on onewrestling.com. Follow us on onewrestlingvideo.com. Make sure you subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at Apter1Wrestling. I'm on Facebook. You can email me at bapter@onewrestling.com. Big Ray, tell them where they can get to you.
Oh, I mean, you can follow me, of course, here at onewrestlingvideo.com. Also, onewrestling.com. And, of course, at Big Ray's Show on Twitter.
All right. Thank you, Big Ray, for calling in. And by the way, I am trying to work out a situation. I'm going to break it here, and it might take a few weeks to put this together, where you fans might be able to do what Big Ray is doing. Yeah, and calling into the show. I might do an entire week of questions during the magazine format. Okay, it's time to get out of here. It's time to walk Lexi Rose, my lovely poodle. Thank you all for being here for this magazine format show, the Apter Mag. And are you ready, Big Ray?
I'm ready, sir.
Okay, I'm pointing. Go for it.
We'll see you at the match.
That was pretty good. Now I have to hit the end stream. Thank you, Big Ray. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Bill Apter, see you at the match.